Oh, thanks, my man G. I appreciate that, bro. Good looking out because I done went the whole time and I would have had my mic on mute. Well, let me start over from the top. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the AI Business Lounge. I'm your boy, Coach Chaz, and I'm rolling solo tonight because Coach Cam, or better said, Iron Cam, is out gallivanting around the world with his beautiful bride. So big ups to him. He out there in Japan right now celebrating, having fun at Harry Potter World out there nerding out. I want to welcome you guys back to the show. And I told him I was going to go ahead and roll solo tonight and he didn't have to worry about it. So welcome to the viewers. Glenn, I see you out there. Thanks, man, for letting me know that my mic was on mute. I got some pretty good questions that was posed to me about from last week's episode where we built out the filing system. And, you know, a lot of people were reaching out asking how to do that. And so I literally built a little kind of cheat sheet on how to do that. And if you're a part of the Elevare global community, you're going to be able to access that for free. If not, I'm going to drop this QR code right here below me, and you're going to be able to actually hit that code there, and you'll be able to go straight to our community, and you'll be able to join the community. And I'm going to let you know right now, you get a 4 or 7 day free trial if you click on that QR code there and sign up to join the community on a trial basis. And I'm going to let you know that this trial is a full-blown trial. You have access to everything that we have ever put in the community. We're not going to restrict you. We want to show you the value of that. So feel free to click on that QR code and go check us out so that you can get some of these tools that we'll be loading up into there. Don't worry, it'll come back shortly. I just had to get it out the way because looking at myself, it's kind of annoying. So, man, so the file system, you know, if you had a chance to play with the file system or you worked on the file system, you have any questions, don't forget, go ahead and drop them in the chat and I'll try to get to your questions as we can. Man, it has been a really hectic week. I will tell you guys, man. You know, I love AI, and man, we're finding out that AI can do so much stuff, but I really could have used AI yesterday when my dishwasher went out, and man, you know, I was up under that thing trying to screw it and unscrew it and put it back together and everything, and it just wasn't working. So had to go out and buy a new one. So yeah, AI can't do everything for us yet. One day, hopefully, I'll be able to just produce an agent and it'll go fix my dishwasher for me. But we haven't gotten there yet. Just a little quick thing. Elevare Global, which is our sponsor here. It's a pretty neat community. We really started that community for small and medium-sized businesses. We wanted to, you know, provide some value to them as we're growing our businesses. We wanted to come together and come up with something that way we can help the people around us, help the community, and we just want to see everybody grow. So don't forget, reach out to us, Elevare Global. Join elevareglobal.com. I'll get that website posted up here shortly. But today I had a special request, and someone asked me to talk a little bit about prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is something that I kind of feel like I've done a really good job over the last probably six to 8 months fine tuning it. You know, and one of the things that I'll say about the prompt engineering is like you really you really have to treat a prompt engineer kind of like a prompt, kind of like that new assistant that you hire or that new worker that you hired, you know, where you have to really kind of train them and get them familiar with the things that you are asking it to do. Sometimes that can be difficult because one of the mindsets that we typically associate with AI is like, oh, I can just give it to AI and it can do everything. You know, and in some cases AI can do a lot, but I will tell you that AI, and you've heard us say this before, AI makes a lot of mistakes. It's not perfect when you just ask it a generic question. It will give you an answer, and it'll give you a good answer. And for most people, those good answers are fine. But I will tell you that when you're trying to scale and grow your business, or you're trying to create your brand, or you kind of like that generic makeup is the same generic makeup that you can go out there. If you know how chat works, if you know how any of these AI platforms, they really just scour the net. I like to say they just scour the net and they find whatever information's out there. So you have to be very specific when you're actually asking your chat or your Claude or whatever it is. By the way, I use Claude, and so a lot of things that we talk about on this platform is strictly Claude based. Anthropic, I'm still waiting on that check, bro. I know you guys, back your product, and I'm going to tell you I back it too. So let me break down how I prompt engineer. And once again, this is not the only way to do that. This is just what I found that works best for me as I scale and grow my business. I have this kind of like 5-step building or 5 building blocks, right? The RCTFE, right? The RCTFE. The RCTFE really breaks it down into the 5 things that you want to make sure you are including when you're prompting your chat or your whatever platform you're using, right? And I know that this works across many of the platforms because I've actually tried it myself. So the first thing is that the R, right? The R is really being very specific with the role, right? Who should the AI agent be? Or for those of you that aren't into creating agents and you just want your AI, your chat to be able to help you a little bit more efficiently and a little bit more professional based on, what you are trying to get out of it, you have to be very specific with the role. Who should that AI be, right? For instance, if you are hiring this to be kind of an HR manager, right? You have to be very specific. You are an expert or an experienced hiring manager, right? That is how you're going to tell it. You're going to start off by letting it know that it is an experienced hiring manager, right? So when it goes out and when it's doing all this combobulating and thinking and, vibing and all these things, it's actually going to go out and it's going to look for those keywords like experienced hiring manager. So now you're telling me that you want it to be a professional, that you want it to be very good. And so now it's not going to be so generic, right? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to give it a context, right? What does it need to know? And that is where I think a lot of people make mistakes when they're prompting their whatever AI platform they're using. Is they don't actually give it a context. They just ask it a generic question and they don't tell it what it needs to know, right? Perfect example of that is for that hiring manager, right? Right. You've already said it's an experienced hiring manager, right? This is the first time that you're actually going to interact with that agent. Sorry, you guys, I lost my train of thought there. It's the first time you're going to actually interact with that agent when you're literally giving it that context. You really want to make sure that it knows that, hey, you know what? This is the first time that you are going to hire somebody, right? It's an experienced manager, yes, but now you're going to say, I want to ask you, as if this was the first time, right? And I'm going to put this all together, and I'm actually going to share my screen, and I'm going to demonstrate how I do this as we go through, right? All right, so we got the role and we got the context. The next thing we want to do is the task. Right? It's like, what exactly do you want? Now is where you're going to tell it exactly what you want. Let's say you got that same hiring manager. Now you're going to ask it like, I want 5 interviewing questions, right? So now what it's going to do is it's going to remember the context, it's going to remember its role, and now it's going to go out there and remember that, hey, this is the first time that this person is meeting with me, and I need to be an experienced hiring manager. So what 5 questions do experienced hiring managers play? So it becomes like kind of like a hierarchy. And it's going to remember everything that you're telling it to do. So it's going to actually make your request a little bit more defined, right? All right. So now we have the role, we have the context, we have the task. The next thing is the format, right? Now you're going to ask it, what should it look like, right? right? Whether it's that same example, right? Whether those questions are a bullet list, whether they're, fill in the blank questions, plain language, right? And so now you're telling it that, hey, I need these in bullet format so that I have them readily accessible so that I'm reading, right? So now we've actually given it the format that we want. And then the final thing is, this is another crucial step, is it helps a lot when you give it an example, right? For instance, what does good look like? Right? Giving an example, like what does good look like when with an experienced hiring manager, right? Like, tell me about the tell me about a deadline you missed, right? That would be kind of an example of a question that you would tell Claude. So now it has an example of what you're actually asking for, or what it looks like. You're told it what it should look like and what format you want it. You've given it the task, right? What exactly you want to know. You've given it context, and it also knows its role. So that is my RCTFE framework that I use whenever I'm prompting my thing. So let me pause there for a second, go check out my chat, see if there's any questions in the chat out there. I don't see any questions. So, and again, once again, this framework, if you're a member of the community, I'll make sure that I drop this under the resources in the community so that you can actually go back and you can see this here and you can down. And it's the great thing about it is, we've already done the work for you. You can literally take this resource document that I have, you'll be able to drop it into your platform and literally tell it, hey, this is what I need you. This is how I need you to act every time I prompt you, every time I ask you something. And so what'll happen at that point is, if you have your AI set up like I have mine, is it will literally ask me, every time I give it a prompt, if I'm not clear, if I'm not hit one of those 5 steps, it will literally come back and prompt me and remind me, hey, coach, you forgot to give me this. You forgot to give me a context. Right. And you can set your agents up to do this here, or your whatever platform that you're using. Right. So what does that look like? Let's, I've seen, even myself, when I first started in my business using AI, I was very weak with my prompting. Right. Like, I would say something like, write me a marketing email. And I thought that what it printed out was amazing, because 9 times out of 10 it was good, because that's we're superficially thinking at that point. It's like, oh, I just need this marketing email, right? But you really want to be specific. So what does that same prompt, write me a marketing email, look like using this framework, right? So it would look something like this. Write a 120-word email inviting past clients to our event. Warm but confident. One clear call to action to register. End with the P's. Right? So literally, I was very, very specific in writing out that entire statement, right? I gave it a role, I literally told it exactly what I want. I gave it the context. So I even gave it an example, right? It is very clear. So now when that thing prints that out or produces that product for me, it's going to be exactly what I asked for. And it's going to be really, really good, to the point where now I'm going to be able to print this off. I can keep it for myself. I can give it to my actual hiring managers. I can do a lot of things with that. And so it is very, 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 very powerful when you have some type of mindset behind prompting, as opposed to just asking it those weak questions like, write me a marketing email. All right, let's see. Let me pause there again. I got to keep an eye on this chat to make sure that there's no questions being left for me. I don't know if I have. All right, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's one. So I just was asked how long should a prompt be? Well, just like with anything, I will tell you that you want your prompt to be as clear and concise and as short as possible. Why? Why do you want it short? Remember back 2 episodes ago, we were talking about token burn, right? You don't want it to think so much that you're burning unnecessary tokens for it to think, right? So you want to try to keep it short and concise. That's why I came up with this little short five step building block, if you would, for creating my prompts. And I mean, let's just be honest. To me, it's no different than the who, what, when, where, and why, right? Very simple. We can all remember that. So when you're prompting, do that. Think about that. Think about the who, what, when, where, and how. And that is basically the same thing that I have with my RCTF. All right, so let me get over here and let's find my Claude here somewhere. I got it. Working over here to get my screen shared. Uh-oh. Man, I'm having all kinds of difficulties today, you guys. My Claude is updating. Anthropic, you guys are great, but man, these daily updates, I hadn't been working in here very much today, so it's acting a little haywire. Well, while that's updating, any questions out there, drop them in the chat for me. Once again, I'm gonna display this up on the screen for you all so that you can while I'm waiting on my Claude to update. Let me see who we got out here. All right, looks like Claude is updated. All right, I'm going to share. All right, you guys should be seeing that there. So let's go ahead and we're going to create an agent here. I need let's just go with a good. Oops. So now I'm just writing some random stuff in here to cover all those blocks. Uh, and so now it's actually going to go through the wickets and start building out this hiring manager. So we'll let that run. I'm gonna come back over here and I'll share that back up here shortly. There it goes. It's starting. All right. So now here's the really important thing is it's always going to ask you, right? So I already have a council of agents, right? So it's going to ask me, hey, are we adding this to the knowledge base with my Olympian council? Yes, I named all of my agents after Greek mythology gods because I kind of like that. And so here it wants to create a new god and it wants to make that so, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to add that because this is a test. And then it's asking, oh, a hiring toolkit, is this just going to be a package of documents? So now it's not going to create the agent, it's just going to create just a toolkit for me to use. Or I can select both, or I can even create it as an app, right? So I'm in the process of working through with the AI, creating an app, and it's pretty cool the way it does that. It really can save you a lot of time, but it still requires a lot of input. But so I'm going to go with just the toolkit. And now it's going to ask me, is this for the frame shaping team? That's the name of my business. Is this for client hiring or both or not sure yet? So I'm going to tell it to build a general purpose and I'll narrow it down later. And so while that's doing that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go check my chat and see what we got in the chat. All right. I'm not seeing anything going in the chat. Now it's going to, this is one of those things that we always talk about. It is a fail safe. If it gets to a point where it absolutely doesn't, that it wants to do something that, may require it building a new skill or installing something or going outside of its work area or writing something to your computer, it's always going to flag you and ask you if you want to do that. Now, if you've seen my boy Iron Cam do this, Iron Cam, he has his to where it actually takes over his computer. So it takes screenshots of everything and it literally it won't actually ask him this. I will go ahead and hit allow on that because I already know that it's not going to do anything bad because I know that it's working in one space and that's the only space it's going to work in because I've told it that that's the only space that it can work in. So I am not 100% confident of giving the full reign over my entire computer yet. Now I've actually I have a second laptop that I keep over here that I don't really care if it does any damage to. You reformat it and move on. And I let it do things over on that computer just to kind of see what great things it can do. So let's see. It's building the hiring toolkit. So I like to show you guys this here because again, what we want to do here is we want you to actually see practical things that you can actually implement with these tools and actually honestly make your life easier in your business. None of us like to do what we call back office work, right? And this is all the kind of stuff that we tend to spend hours trying to develop and, spend so much time. And, any time that you spend doing all this back office stuff and trying to make these processes perfect and things like that, that time that you spend doing that takes you away from doing the things that actually make revenue, right? You'll hear Iron Cam and myself always talk about that. Our sole purpose for using AI in our businesses is to allow us the space and the time to do revenue generating activities. How do I put myself into the revenue making spot as opposed to doing all these things that are very important in your business? But let's just face it, if I have to sit down and write out an SOP for a process in my business, that's taking me a while. Yeah, eventually it can make me money, but what valuable time am I missing, networking, or making a cold call, or following up on a previous lead, right? Those are the things that me as the human element, or anybody that we work with, those are the elements that we want to be doing. We want to be doing those things that's driving us directly toward the revenue, as opposed to, like I said, creating these things. And the great thing about these AI agents, you can do it. And you know what? I'm gonna while that's working on there, I want to actually, I'm gonna show you guys what my agent pool looks like. That's still working. We'll show you what the finished product of that looks like. So this is literally my build for my agents, right? There's Themis, who's my CPA. And then I have Apollo, who's actually my personal assistant, Athena, who's my content creator, Atlas. And then I have, who else do I where's my favorite one? I have my favorite one is, where'd he go? Right here. This is my favorite one, y'all. That's Plutus. Plutus is my full blown CFO. And he keeps me out of trouble with the tax people. Like, he literally I'm in Florida, so I've actually told it, I need you to go out and learn everything that a Florida certified CPA needs to know. And you are my CFO. I expect professional grade documents that you put out in order for me to give to my actual CPA. So basically, what I've done is I've saved my CPA probably 7.5 hours of going through my stuff, to make sure that I'm good. And I've gotten it down to about 45 minutes, and he can take care of my whole annual wrap up. Let me go back to my questions here. And so I got a question here from David Jones, 1235. He says, can you build an agent for everything? So I can build an agent for a lot of things, right? It just depends on what you mean for everything, right? If you're looking for an agent to be, so one of the things that I do is I use a CRM called Go High Level. If everybody's familiar with Go High Level. So what I've also done is I've created an AI agent that is a phone agent, right? And if you've ever gotten into, most CRMs allow you to have now AI phone agents or chat bots. And so I've actually created an agent with my Claude, and I took that knowledge base and I fed it to my AI agent within Go High Level. And so now that agent in that Go High Level, if you were to call my business number, that agent, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. That agent would actually know exactly who to who to assign the task to. So all the information that phone agent is taking in. So if somebody calls and says that they wanted to schedule a lunch with Coach, right? Apollo, my personal assistant, my personal executive assistant, Now my phone AI agent will write a knowledge base and send it to my personal agent, my personal assistant. And now my personal assistant will go look at my calendar, look for all my openings, where I have free space, and then relay that back to the phone agent, who then can tell the client on the phone when I'm available, right? And so you can build agents for just about any task that you're trying to do. Again, like I said, can't, they're not going to, come and fix your dishwasher, right? But what exactly are you what exactly are you trying to build an agent for? All right, looks like we have. All right, y'all. So I have just finished my Claude has finished creating that agent. I'm going to share my screen again here and show you what it came up with. Now, I did not have it produce the document, so there's a lot more you can do with this here. So here's basically what my toolkit looks like now, right? The This is exactly what it looks like now that I built. So these are the things that you would need when you have when you're onboarding somebody, right? When you onboard them, these are all the different things that you would do when you're hiring somebody. And now, if I were to click on these, now I'm going to click on phone screen. Now, this is not going to be pretty yet because I didn't tell it to produce this. This is just kind of like the draft that it does. But my next prompt, I would tell this to, okay, now I need you to export this utilizing my brand strategy. And then it'll actually print it out all branded and everything. So when I click on that now, notice it gives me this cool little, kind of gives me this is going to be kind of like your run of show script, if you would, if you're interviewing somebody on the phone, right? Thanks for making the time. This is a quick 20-minute call to learn about you and tell you about the role, and we'll both figure out blah 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 blah. But yeah, so now it literally gives me this whole thing, and this is based off of a good hiring manager, not an expert or anything like that. So whatever role you give it, when you tell it to do, that's the quality of the product that it's going to spit out for you, right? And so I can literally take this complete package here, I can have it exported and branded to my business, and now I can put that in a binder and put it on the shelf after I've obviously gone through it and read it and made sure that but I know that when I ask my Claude to do something, it takes everything into consideration that I have ever fed into it, right? So I've been very specific with as a matter of fact, I actually have I guess if you would, an HR agent that would do all those things for me. And it looks just like if you were in a Fortune 500 onboarding process, it's kind of like the same thing. And again, sometimes you'll have to tailor that to your specific business, right? And that's why I say you never take these products and put them right off the shelf. And that's why, again, why prompt engineering is so important, because you don't want to be very generic, because if it's very generic, you will find yourself typing a lot to make corrections. And so you want to be very specific when you're prompt engineering. All right, so here's the next question on what we got here. So I can build out a whole team to help run every aspect of my business. Absolutely. You can literally build out an entire C-suite, if you would. I've done that. I've built a complete C-suite that helps me run my business. And here's the great thing about it is I have my agents running autonomously. So they are all on loops. We talked a little bit about loops a couple weeks ago. Basically, that's where I just give it a task and it just keeps on going until it completes that task. And once it completes that task, then it starts another one. And so I have my agents all on loops. Far as like hey, creating. I'm be perfectly honest. I use agents to create content. Right? Doesn't mean that I use all their content, but every single day, Athena, who's my content creator, she literally spits out branded content for me every single day. I don't always use it because, I don't need to. I have somebody that does that already professionally, so I don't necessarily need that. But it's a great way for inspiration. It's a great way for me to kind of gather my thoughts and to go to my real life person that does that and say, hey, have we thought about doing this kind of content or that kind of content? So absolutely, you can build out. And here's something else that's awesome that I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but I've actually created a a board of directors, right? And so my board of directors, utilizes real life personas. So I have people on my board of directors like, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and who else is on my board? I think I got Jeff Bezos on there, and it really goes out and picks up it goes out and it learns everything that it can about those individuals as far as business and what are some of the things that they're posting and saying and things like that. And it uses those personas. And sometimes you can so when I get a question that I'm like, I don't know what direction I should go in this, I just drop it into my board of directors and let them fight over it. And then they'll spit out a whole document and I get to see every single board member's pro and cons, and they come to an agreement. Most of the time they come to an agreement and they tell me exactly what I need to do to get to a certain point, right? So absolutely, you can have your agents do just about any and everything that you need them to do in your business. Great question. Appreciate that. Let's see. What else do we have? Let me go back up here and see. There's nothing for us to. Boom, 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 boom. All right, you guys. Let's see. I'm gonna show you guys kind of I'm gonna show you a document that I've had one of my agents do. So I was talking a lot about how whenever my agent spits out content for me, it's branded depending on which brand that I'm actually working on. So I have 3 different brands that I work on, but I'm going to show you what a branded show you what a branded so this is literally a tool that I had it create just on my branding. So this is my personal brand, right? And so it literally branded everything that I deal in, right? So here are my 3 brands: my personal brand, here's the community, and here's my business, right? And so it literally, and this is all information that it has learned about me. And so when I put out content under this particular brand, it will utilize this complete branding strategy for that. And so I say that just because you really have to get get familiar with your own brand strategy, right? If you don't have your own brand strategy, you definitely want to have that created. And here's the deal: you can use any AI chat or what to help you create that brand. You just have to make sure you feed that information in there. So all that to say, prompt engineering is super crucial when in your business. Whatever it is that you want your AIs to be doing for you, you have to be very specific and very intentional with what you feed into it. Let's go back to the chat and see if we got any more questions here. Oh, great question. So this goes back to a previous episode that we've done. We talked about the token burn. So I had a question was like, what I just did, does it take hundreds or thousands of tokens to create that, right? So I will tell you, man, there's a lot that goes into your token burn, right? Obviously, the models. First off, the models that you use, and we ran through that before when we kind of talked about the different models within um, within Claude, right? So you have the four main models within in Claude. You got Haiku, Sonnet, Opus, and Fable, right? And each one of them works at a different level, right? So and depending on how much data and how fast or quick, which model you're using. So like we talked a little bit about using, like, if you're using Claude and you just wanted to have like the same experience as you do with like OpenAI's Chat GPT, right? You don't want to go, you probably would be okay with using just Haiku, right? Haiku is basically the fastest model in Claude, and it acts just like ChatGPT, and that's good for asking questions and asking for those recipes and stuff like that, right? Just interactions, right? And so you're going to have a lot lower token burn because it doesn't have to do a lot of thinking. It's going to be very fast, very generic answer giving. It's not going to dig too deep into it. And then you start moving up, and then you get to something like Sonnet, right? Sonnet is really a good it's really a good model because it's good for like daily tasks, things like checking your email every day, or sending you a message for lunch. Like, it's good for like repetitive daily tasks that you want to do, not real intense, just like reminders and things like that. So again, you're going to have a little bit more of a token burn. Then you move on to Opus 5, which Opus 5 just dropped this past week, and it's actually really, really good. And it's going to go a little bit more in depth, a little bit slower, a little higher of a token burn. And, you're using that for, complex, for complex tasks. So it's a lot of the times when I'm building out, like if I'm building out an email campaign, right? If I'm building out an email campaign inside of Go High Level, I'll probably just use Opus to do that, right? And it'll build out my campaigns. It digs a little bit more in depth, a lot higher token burn. And then there's the almighty Mythos level Fable, which it is super. It compared to the others, it's super slow, but super powerful. It does very in-depth, therefore your big task. If you had to create a complete project management database and populate it with like loads and loads of data, you can throw Fable on it, and you're going to burn through some tokens, right? So on average, if you have it produce a document for you, you're probably looking about by the time it's done with that document, you're probably looking at about 10,000 tokens, right? And so if you're on a free plan on any of these models, right? If you're on any platform and you're on the free plan, that 10,000 token document probably will take you, depending on the platform, because some platforms make you wait till the next day when you have a complete token burn. Some would make you wait 20 minutes. It just depends on the platform, but it could take you a tremendous amount of time. After it burns through the first couple thousand, it's going to put you on timeout and tell you can't do any more for a certain period of time. I had that happen to me when I was using OpenAI on the paid version, which, I think their paid version at the time was like $20. And I literally burned out of tokens just trying to have it create a simple spreadsheet. And I was done until the next day, right? But I can tell you, and I'm gonna big up Anthropic again. I have a max plan with Anthropic, and I have never exceeded my tokens yet. Now, some of my friends in the AI space will tell me that that's because I'm not doing enough with it, but I think I'm doing quite a bit with it, and I haven't been put in token jail yet since I've been doing it. So you definitely got to take that into consideration again with your prompt engineering and making sure that you're being a good steward of your tokens, right? Awesome. I appreciate the engagement there. I really do. I enjoy that. So I'm going to throw this here out there for you guys. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to send in your requests for what you would like to see us actually do live on the air, so that we can walk you guys through that. What would help you? What are we wasting your time with what we're doing? I hope not. I think there's a little bit of value for everybody, especially if you're new to AI. And I will tell you guys, don't be afraid of AI. I will tell you that a lot of people don't believe this one. As much as I talk about AI and as much as I'm doing with AI, I've only been really using AI since probably February of this year. Before that, I was like, I'm not doing it. I don't need AI. I can do it myself. And then I started playing around with it, and Iron Cam, he kind of got me hooked on it. And next thing you know, I'm up till midnight vibing, and I'm learning, and I'm doing a lot of things just to try things out, to see what works, see what doesn't work. And I'll tell you, man, it can be it can be addicting at times when you really start to learn and figure out the power of what it can do. If you have a good strategy for prompt engineering, you can get some really good use out of really any of the platforms, right? And so once again, like we always say, get an account, get it on your computer, and go and play with it. Don't be scared of it, because it's going to prompt you for pretty much, if there's any questions, it's going to prompt you. So but we want you to get the full experience, and that's why we recommend you install it on a desktop computer or a laptop, as opposed to trying to mess with it on your phone. Which, listen, I vibe on my phone too, but I will tell you that I had to go out and buy me a huge power bank to keep my phone charged up, because it is a resource hog. If you're clawing it up on your phone, it utilizes some resources. But also, as we move through this every week, we're gonna show you some tricks on how to do these things without having to actually do them on your phone. I know Iron Cam was bragging to me. Would you believe that this dude was sitting on the airplane on his way to Korea at the time, and he was using the airplane's Starlink to vibe code at 40,000 feet, and he was sending me message. I just figured out how to how to vibe code on my home computer without having to go through Jump platform, which is, Jump is an app you can download from the App Store, put it on your phone, and that allows it works like the old, if you remember the old VMware for Windows, where you can literally remote into your computer from, as long as you had an internet connection. It's the same thing as that, but it's a lot less resource hungry than VMware was, and you have total control. Like, you can literally, it allows you to, you're not kind of like, VPN into that system. You're actually controlling it through a virtual interface, but you can fully, and you're actually working on that computer, right? And so I love it. But Cam has found a new way to do it without having to go through that. So I'm excited for him to get back so he can show me that. And I'm looking forward to that. All right, so we're getting down to the wire here. We're going to get ready to sign off here in a few moments. But before we do, I just wanted you guys to remember, if you want to learn more about AI, if you want to know more about leadership team dynamics, you want to know more about optimizing your business, go ahead and give us a look-see over at joinelevareglobal.com. You can actually, join the community for free for 7 days, and learn about what it is that we're doing, and also just kind of come join the community. Teach us some of the things that you may already know that we don't know. Because while we love doing this and we love showing you what we're doing, we know that there's people out there that are doing a lot more. If you have any special requests on things that you're looking for, don't forget to shoot us an email. Right, shoot us an email at hello@joinelevareglobal.com. Shoot us your question, shoot us your idea, let us know what it is that we can do to help you, and let's feed into everybody here. All right, so I'm going to go one last time to the chat and see what we got in the chat before we get ready to sign off of here. And looks like we don't have anybody else on the chat. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to sign off of here. You guys meet us back here next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Iron Cam will be back, and Iron Cam will be able to give us some of his newly found insights, because I know he's been like vibing a lot where he is, probably more than he should be. I don't believe in working so much on vacation, but hey, the grind must go on. And so I'm sure he's going to have some great things to share with us when we come back. I'm really interested in figuring out how I can work on my home computer without going through Jump. So with that, you guys, thank you once again for tuning in. This has been Coach Chaz, and this was the AI Business Lounge. We'll see you next week.